Hello, welcome to What the Heck Does That Card Do? I'm Chris, this is Josh, I use they them pronouns, and Josh uses he him. I don't want to speak for him, but there you go. And we're here to talk about crazy magic cards to put in crazy decks. We try and pick out a commander, we try and talk about said commander and what they do, and we try and recommend cards for you to put in said commander deck that people you're playing with won't go, oh, ho hum, it's that card that everyone plays. They'll go, what does that card do? Hence the name of the show.
Unless you're me, and then sometimes I will talk about the more popular cards that you would see in those decks.
Yeah, well, whores will have their trinkets.
Well, one of us does the oddities, and the other one does the basic vanilla stuff. That sums up our personalities perfectly.
I cannot. Look, we were talking about this the other day, just privately when Josh and I were playing a game together, and it was a realization that if my deck's not slightly goofy, I'm not having fun. So.
Yeah, you were playing a deck that at the point at that time you thought was slightly goofy, and then you were playing it and like, actually, all I'm doing is just sifting through my deck until I find my win con. This isn't my.
It's too
my
easy.
Speed. Yeah,
this is the kind of thing that someone would play who wants to win all the time, and that's actually not why I'm here. Yes. We are on a Universes Beyond kick, specifically a Spider-Man kick, because the set is cool and there are cool cards in it, regardless of what the internet says. So let's talk about another one of them. Specifically, I want to talk about one of the slightly more oddball-y cards, because there's a lot of legendary creatures in Universes Beyond, because there's a lot of like named creatures in whatever universe they have come from that all need a card. So you end up with a lot of very strange commanders to have really fun, weird build-around decks, and this might be the weirdest one from Spider-Man. Jackal, Genius Geneticist. Okay, slight aside, Josh. Have you ever seen Jackal in any Spider-Man media?
Not from memory, no. I don't remember him in the... because I'm not big on the Spider-Man comics. I'm more of my Spider-Man knowledge comes from mainly the 90s TV show, the 90s cartoon, the best one. Ultimate Spider-Man is also
Ultimate's great. Yeah, I was watching Ultimate with my kid the other day. It's really good.
Ultimate's really good as well. But the 90s one, don't remember seeing him in it at all.
No, he looks like Green Goblin not wearing a shirt.
He looks like Green Goblin, how Green Goblin is depicted in the newer stuff, where he actually takes on more of a goblinoid form and less of just putting a mask on his face.
That's true.
Because they wanted to make the difference between Green Goblin and Hobgoblin. Yeah.
Well, anyway, Jackal is a character none of us recognise, but who cares? He's a legendary human scientist villain. He has Trample. He's a 1/1. Whenever you cast a creature spell with mana value equal to Jackal's power, copy that spell, except the copy isn't legendary. Then put a 1/1 counter on Jackal. It's Simic token copies. It's one of my favourite things to do in the game. Listen, I've got a Ratadrabic deck, I've got a Roalesque deck, I have a ton of decks where the whole point of the deck is how many dumb token copies of things can I make? And this is very much in that same vein, in the colours that do it best. So it's a bit difficult to pass, so let's go through it quickly. Whenever you cast a creature spell with mana value equal to Jackal's power, copy that spell. Except the copy isn't legendary. Now, except the copy isn't legendary is the kind of thing you see on copy cards, which just means you can copy other legendary creatures, it's fine. It's a legendary creature, if another one of the same name that exists on your side of the board ceases to exist immediately, because
you get to choose which one.
True, one of them cannot exist because there can only be one. Highlander rules apply to legendary creatures in Magic. Unless you can make copies that aren't legendary, which is what a lot of the creatures that really want to do clever things around it do. Yeah. The mana value of the creature has to be equal to Jackal's power. Not the power is equal to the power, not mana value. Jackal's mana value is 2 because he costs a green and a blue, but his power is 1. So if you cast a spell that has a mana value of 1, it doubles. at which point you put a 1/1 counter on Jackal, so he becomes a 2/2. So now if you cast a creature spell with mana value 2, it doubles, and so on, and so on, and so on. That's the name of the game here. What you are trying to do is cast creatures of varying powers at the right time to make sure that you get double of them whenever you cast them, which means double enter the battlefield triggers, double attack triggers if they have attack triggers, whatever.
Well, varying mana values, not powers.
Yes, sorry, varying mana values. And, I mean, you might draw the right cards out of your deck at the right time if you're lucky. Way, that's I guess chances are there's an easy solution to this problem. A lot of creatures in Magic have an casting cost of X.
Yes.
These are variable casting costs. It's normally X and a green, X and a blue, X and a yellow, whatever. Like, it's X and color combination to give the creature its color identity, but then also you can make it a 3 mana value creature or a 4 mana value creature or a 5, and so on. A lot of them are Hydras. There's a lot of them floating around, and generally speaking, if you build a deck of basically Hydras, you will probably have this ability to cast things at the right mana value any given time to be able to create 2 copies of it, especially because you can copy anything, even legendary creatures, which is really, really good. However, there is an obvious first problem. If it has a color identity of green or blue, its mana cost isn't X. It's X and green. X and blue, whatever, which means its mana value is never 1, because a lot of these things come in as 0/0s or 1/1 counters based on the number of X you put into it, so the whole thing falls apart very quickly, unless you have a Stone Coil Serpent. It's an artifact creature, it's a snake, its casting cost is just X. It enters with X 1/1 counters on it, so you can cast it for 1, and you can still get a double of it immediately. Most notably, there are lots of creatures that do have a casting cost of X. It's not a huge number, but there are about 10, I think. This one does the same thing they all do, comes in with counters, but it also has reach, trample, and protection from multicolored. That's really good.
Yeah.
That's really, really good. Reach makes it an excellent blocker. Trample makes it an excellent attacker. Protection from multicolored means that if they're trying to block it with a multicolored creature, they won't be able to. If they're trying to attack and you block it, if they're trying to attack a multicolored creature and you block it, it won't damage it at all. This comes up more often than you would think, primarily because a lot of commanders like to attack. Yes. And almost all commanders are multicolored because they define the color identity of the deck. So unless you're playing as a monocolored deck, a Stone Coil Serpent will just quietly sit there blocking the other person's commander, not taking any damage from it forever. So it absolutely kills Voltron strategies dead in the water, which is great. That's it. That's my first one. X-cost creatures, and this is my favorite X-cost creature. Boom.
It's a very good card. Yeah, the ability to do it in a way, spend whatever mana you want to match Jackal's power. It makes it fantastic for early or late game sort of stuff.
I would say that. Sorry, I would say that generally speaking, the more X-cost creatures you can put in the deck, the better, because it means that at any point in the game, whenever you draw it, you can go, cool, this one needs to be 3 to make sure it matches, so I get 2 of it. Like, you don't need to get 2 of it, but the ability to get 2 cards for the price of 1 every time you cast a creature spell, if you can, you want that. That's the goal.
Especially 2 that have protection from multicolored. And reach and trample.
It's insult to injury at that point, really.
Yeah. Exactly. Plus it has +1/+1 counters. It comes in with +1/+1 counters as well. So if the deck does run ways to proliferate or move counters around, then you just plonk it onto the big thing.
Well, you're about to talk about one of those, I'm pretty sure. But because Jackal puts 1/1 counters on himself, the ability to add more, move them, whatever, is, of course, very good.
My first card is a card that is fantastic in any +1/+1 counters deck. In fact, because of the fact that you can just, if you can keep giving +1/+1 counters to this through proliferate or moving things around, it's just really good. This card gives you the option to have Jackal as an attacker as well, because Jackal's effect, you want to be able to remove counters from him to be able to then keep copying things. But if you get to the point where you're just building counters up and you swing, this is a good card. Champion of Lambholt.
Yeah.
Good in any green deck, to be fair.
Good card. Just a good card.
It's just a good card in general. For 2 green and 1, she is a human warrior 1/1. Creatures with power less than Champion of Lambholt's power can't block creatures you control. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, put a +1/+1 counter on Champion of Lambholt.
Most notably, if you make a token copy, the creature still enters
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it feeds into the strategy as well, makes it so things become unblockable very quickly. So that's my first pick.
Champion's a great 1/1 counters card in general. I'm going to slide slightly back to something you said a second ago, which is you might want to take counters off Jackal. Why, you ask? Why do you want to take counters off Jackal? Well, because if Jackal gets too big, suddenly you can't duplicate things anymore because it costs too much mana. So you also want the ability to take counters off Jackal, because if you take counters off him, you have the ability to get him back down to a manageable level where you can cast another spell and duplicate it again. So yes, moving counters will be a big part of this, which is not easy to do. Speaking of moving counters, I'm going to start off with something more variable, which is a Galloping Lizrog, 3 green-blue, frog lizard.
Oh, I love that.
It's Simic from Ravnica, baby. They are. I might have overfed him is the key line on this. So,
yeah. It looks like he hasn't swallowed it yet.
I mean, it is a frog lizard. It is a lizard with a gigantic frog goiter. It has trample. It's a 3/3. When this creature enters, you may remove any number of +1/+1 counters from among creatures you control. If you do, put twice that many +1/+1 counters on this creature. Amazing. In other words, if you get it perfectly right, and it's possible too, if there's 4 1/1 counters on Jackal, and you cast the Galloping Lizrog, you will make 2. At which point you can remove any number of 1/1 counters from and among creatures you control, only to 1 of them at a time, unfortunately. Make 2 huge ones and get Jackal back down to a castable level again. It's great. It's such a cool. It's 20p, and it's such a cool card in this deck.
As another little sort of going off of that same sort of effect, slightly more expensive in terms of its mana value, but slightly tougher, has flying and trample, is Sin Unending Cataclysm.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's blue and green 5, blue, green and 5 for a Leviathan Avatar 5/5 with flying and trample. As Sin enters, remove all counters from any number of artifacts, creatures, and enchantments. Sin enters with X 1/1 counters on it, where X is twice the number of counters removed this way. Does the similar sort of thing as Galloping Lizrog. When Sin dies, put its counters on target creature you control, then shuffle this card into its owner's library.
I mean, yes, it's very similar. And Flample, we've talked about Flample before. Flample is amazing. Flying and trample, it's very, very, very hard to block. Yeah. Where the Galloping Lizrog, I have to close the page now. Where that says you can move any number of counters, you can start mixing and matching a bit. Sin specifically says remove all counters from any number. So if you cast this and you manage to make a copy, which is obviously the very cool thing to do, if you make a token copy of it, you could choose, well, I'll take all the counters off this creature and put it on Sin, and all the counters off that creature and put it on Sin, but you would take all of them. So you would have to get that cycle right. And it also makes it bloody huge, and 2 bloody huge things is just fantastic. 2 bloody huge Flamplers. When the token dies, you'd still move the counters, but you can't shuffle a token into your library, it would vanish. So the token would just go. But yes, that's a very cool ad. That's an extremely cool ad. Nice. I'm going to keep going in this vein of removing counters.
Yep.
If you want to add more counters to Jackal, proliferate. There's 1,000 ways to add counters. There are many, many cards that say add a 1/1 counter or 2. In fact, this card says add a 1/1 counter or 2. I don't think you really need to on Jackal himself, because I think that part of the way that works is that you want to keep him sort of on a low curve, so you're not spending all of your mana on a creature to get trigger going. And then once you've removed all the counters back down to a manageable number, you will gradually be sort of cycling that back and forth. I wouldn't get him too big. But if you've got other creatures with 1/1 counters that you're moving things onto, or that you're building up because of all these effects happening around, and these colours are good for 1/1 counters too, frankly.
Yeah.
The ability at that point to add more counters to those creatures to make them bigger is obviously just a good across the board nice way to handle it. So this is one of the split cards from Dragon's Maze. So basically it has 2 sides, and you can either cast one side, the other side, or combine their mana costs and cast both at the same time. Give 2 and a green, put 3 1/1 counters on target creature. and take 2 and a blue, remove all 1/1 counters from target creature you control, draw that many cards.
Oh, very good.
Now,
can you stack that? Can you stack what order you do that in?
No, it has to be one than the other. So you put the 3 on, then remove all of them, or put the 3 on. Remove
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. Could you do put 3 on then remove all, or could you remove all then put 3 on?
Oh, I see.
Do you choose your order in which you do it?
You may cast one or both halves of this card from your hand. No, fuse split card resolves. Follow instructions on the left half first, then the instructions on the right.
Okay, that's good to know, though.
Yeah, it is good to know.
But,
so, yes.
But that does mean if you do cast both at the same time, that's what math in my head. That's a 6-cost card that's drawing you a minimum of 3 cards.
Yes. Honestly, you will use the thing to do is put 3 1/1 counters on something you're attacking with, and remove all the counters from Jackal to draw that many cards and keep the cycle going. Like, that's.
I've just thought.
Yeah.
If you've got Sin on the board, who's doubled all of the counters from everything, and then cast this on it, you could draw your entire deck, nearly.
Okay. Let's say you got Jackal up to a 9/9. You cast Sin, take all the counters off Jackal, so there's 18 counters on Sin, which point you remove all the counters, draw 18 cards. Yeah.
Well,
this might be a good deck for a Reliquary Tower.
Yeah, you put the 3/3 counters on as well, so that would be 21.
This might be a good deck for a Reliquary Tower, yes.
or a Thoughtful Vessel, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, these are cards that you have unlimited hand sizes.
Yeah.
This is very cool. But yes, I have this in a deck where every time you draw a card, you put a 1/1 counter on something. So remove all the 1/1 counters from a thing, draw that many cards, put them all back again. It's great.
Very good. My next card, should I say, adds a little bit of flexibility to your ability to put 1/1 counters onto Jackal. This is Forgotten Ancient.
Yes.
Yes, he's a green and 3 elemental, 0/3. Whenever a player casts a spell, you may put a 1/1 counter on Forgotten Ancient. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may move any number of 1/1 counters from Forgotten Ancient onto other creatures. So you don't have to move all of the 1/1 counters from Forgotten Ancient, but what it allows you to do, if you know what's in your hand, you can see it. If you know you've got a card in hand that's a 5-mana card, but Jackal's only has 3 power at the moment, but Forgotten Ancient has got 6 counters on him, you know that you can move 2 counters from Forgotten Ancient and put those onto Jackal. So when you play your 5-mana creature from your hand, you can then copy it, or 7 if it's Sin.
Yeah, you're guaranteeing the trigger. Yeah,
you're guaranteeing the trigger.
Yeah, that's very cool.
Very, very, very good card. It is. I will say though, I play Forgotten Ancient in pretty much all of my 1/1 counter decks that have got green in them, and he does become a very quick removal magnet because people see how quickly he builds up over the course of each player's turn. So he does get removed quite quickly. So just be wary of that.
Thing is, I think that's unavoidable, and it also means that you've got you've already got many different ways of moving counters around. This is a wonderful removal magnet. This is a good way to make sure people aren't removing your commander or removing other things that are very valuable. Also, if you get your timings right, you'll have 2 of them.
This is true, yeah.
And if you have 2 of them,
I didn't even think of that.
Both get the count.
Oh wow, that's amazing! Yeah, I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, that's nasty. That's really good. Love that. Right. Okay. 1/1 counters decks. There's some meat and potatoes here that you should probably consider. 1/1 counters make things big, but that's it. If the creatures have evasion or any other way of making sure their attacks get through on their own, that's fantastic, but often they don't. There's many cards that have this text on it. Duskshell Crawler's 1 and a green. It's an insect. It's a 0/3. When it enters the battlefield, put a 1/1 counter on target creature. Each creature you control with a 1/1 counter on it has trample.
Yeah.
So these are great. These are great in every 1/1 counter deck. You just pop it on the battlefield, and it's just sat there, and it suddenly means that all of your big things now have trample, and it just sits there. Crown Ceratok is another one that there's so many.
There's so many of them.
Yeah.
It's not helpful so much for your commander because your commander already has trample, but it's helpful for other cards that are in the deck, other creatures that you have, especially big ones. Sin has trample as well, but I don't think, did your Galloping Lizard have trample?
Yeah, it did. Yeah,
it did. Okay, but you'll have other things.
You will have other things. And the point is that it's a small target. It's also a 2-cost. There will be times where you want to cast a really low-value 2-cost, and that means that your low-value 2-cost you'll have 2 copies of, which means that immediately removal's great and all, but no one's going to target 2 removal spells at Duskshell Crawlers to make sure your things don't have trample.
Yeah.
I think a low curve in this deck in particular, the ability to have lots of things, if you do have things that aren't X-cost that are really, really cheap, this might be a good way to make sure that you can almost certainly have a Jackal do that. I'm just going to jump to the next card just because it's basically the same thing. It's called a Skatewing Spy, 3 and a blue. It's a Vidalcan Rogue Mutant. It has 5 and a blue adapt to. Don't do that. Each creature you control with a 1/1 counter on it has flying. Same thing.
Oh, that's very good, yeah.
Yeah, because trample lets you push through, but flying, this one's more rare. I've only ever seen it on like 2 or 3 cards, but it's not expensive, this card at all. It just sits on your battlefield. And again, if you can duplicate it, no one's going to be able to stop your effect, and suddenly all of these big things will fly over most problems that your enemies can throw in your face.
Yeah, that's really good. My next card is a bit of an odd one and works in particular situations. It's an enchantment. It's called Ooze Flux. It is a green and 3 enchantment, and it has green and 1. So, and not tap it. Remove 1 or more 1/1 counters from among creatures you control. That's the cost. Create an XX green ooze creature token where X is the number of 1/1 counters removed this way. This helps you to remove your 1/1 counters from Jackal so that you can cast, so that you can get your copies and all that sort of stuff. You can also do this, and the way that I would use this card in particular is I would do it on my opponent's turn during combat, because it doesn't say it's at sorcery speed, so you can do it instant speed, and you can create a blocker to block anything that's on their side of the board. If you don't have anything that's quite big enough or anything that you don't want to lose, you can quite easily go, hey, look, their commander's a 6/6. I'm going to remove 6 1/1 counters from Jackal, bringing him down so that I can then copy the next spell in my hand to make this ooze to then block that thing. My ooze dies, who cares? But your thing dies as well. So I think that's a very good card.
It just sits on the field, doesn't it? Because it's an enchantment. You just play it, and people go, "What? Why?" And you go, "Well, whenever you attack me, unless your thing's got flying, obviously, I can just make something. Like, you could just take 1 counter off to create a jump blocker if you needed to."
Yeah, but I suppose you could use it out of combat as well. Say you've got 9 counters on Jackal, making him a 10, and you've got a card in hand that's 4. I suppose you could do it on your turn, remove 6 of them, paying the mana cost to then be able to do it. So it does give you that flexibility of when you can cast the spells, get that copy effect and stuff. So
the ooze token doesn't keep the counters; it becomes an XX ooze. So if you had then an ability to put a 1/1 counter, like for Forgotten Ancient, on it, if you could, like, this is one of the things you can do it on end step. If you have a couple of mana left floating around for potential instance at the end of your turn, on the person before use end step, make the ooze. And then use the Forgotten Ancient to put like 1 counter on it, and now suddenly it's a 14/14 with flying, trample, whatever, because all of the 1/1 counter synergies kick in as well. So you've suddenly used mana to make a blocker / attacker if you need it, while also getting everything down to a manageable level so you can cast more things. That's very clever.
Yeah, that's very cool.
I like that a lot.
Yeah, I've only got 1 more card left.
I've got 2. Have we gone really quick? We've been really quick.
We've been really quick with this one compared to the one we recorded before this. But you go, I go, and then you get the last one.
Well, mine are very similar. Mine is an overall effect conversation.
Okay. Do my one first then?
Yeah, do yours first. Yeah.
So going back to Chris's discussion about moving, or the discussion that we've both done, where we've said about moving counters around, removing counters from Jackal, and all of that sort of stuff. This one is one that is particularly good and actually unlocks a little bit of artifact synergy if you wanted to add artifacts into the deck. And this is Moxite Refinery. It's a 2-cost artifact, and it has pay 2 mana, 2 generic mana, and tap it to remove X counters from an artifact or creature you control, and then choose 1. You can only activate this as a sorcery, so you can only do this on your turn. You can put X charge counters on target artifact, or you can put X 1/1 counters on target creature. So that's incredibly good, because you can remove the counters from Jackal to bring him down again to a manageable level to be able to get the copy effects, and you can put those counters onto something else that you're building up to do the big swing. Or if you've got artifacts on the board that like the spacecraft, for example, if you've got any of those on the board and you want to put charge counters on them to activate them, you could put that onto them to do that, to turn them into creatures. Same with the charge counters that you can put on things that there's a lot of them in the Kilo precon that says this card taps for a number of mana equal to the number of charge counters on it, sort of thing.
Yes,
you could do that. Yeah.
It's a way of turning the 1/1 counter cyclone that you're inventing effectively into mana production with charge counters. Like, I was thinking about charge counters, putting them on the station lands, the planet lands, because the planet lands are. It's a very cool idea. Well, it's a very cool idea because you're getting a Gaia's Cradle, which is a bloody game changer and is really, really good, but it costs you like 12 mana you have to like find 12 charge counters to get it up to the point. That means tapping a lot of big creatures, which you lose out on the ability to tap them for Gaia's Cradle for more mana. It doesn't really work. Like, it's fine, but it's just so much worse. The ability to take 10 counters off things to literally power it up immediately so that you can play this land, tap this, power it up, and then suddenly you've got this incredible thing. Because you're going to have more counters than you need. And if you've got big creatures with no ability to cast spells, then that's a terrible position to be in. The ability to go, actually, no, that big creature needs to be quite as big, and now I have all the mana production I need to cast whatever I want. It's very cool. Yeah. So yes, I think that's where I think the power of this lies. You're right, is suddenly adding in... what are they called? Crystalline Crawler, Pentad Prism, all of these ones that are basically artifacts where if you add mana to them, you can use that charge counters to either expend it to spend more mana, or you can tap it for a certain number. These are, it's a great idea.
There was one, it's one of those two cards where it's not even a tap effect, it's just remove a charge counter from this card to add 1 mana of any colour. So you've just got that mana all the time. It might be the Prism one.
That one's really broken in Kilo because you can do crazy tap effects, just tap infinitely. Yeah. So, but that's Kilo. That's not this. This is more of a sort of. This is more of a use effect. So, like, if you've got lots of really big creatures, but you can't do your clever casting trick to make more of them, this means you can take some power away to turn it into mana production, which is not a bad thing. I think the flexibility in this is going to be one of the hardest things to get right. Speaking of flexibility, my last sort of big area, the area I got really excited about, is Jackal makes token non-legendary copies of creatures. There is no easy way to copy Jackal with Jackal's ability.
Yeah. Unless...
Therefore... copy spells. The ability to copy him. These spells exist. They've been around for ages. Spark Double, Sakashima, make a token copy of something, or this creature becomes a copy of something. This is especially nasty in this deck because whenever you cast a creature spell with mana value equal to Jackal's power, Jackal isn't an amorphous blob. Jackal is this card. So if you are playing a card that has if you're playing a copy spell that copies him but has its own power, then you've got another version of this effect. So if you cast things of this power, this mana value, or that mana value, they duplicate.
Yeah.
So if you can get them to be the same level, if they're at the same level, very hard to do, then whenever you cast a creature spell, you can copy it twice. So you can make 2 copies every time you cast spells. You get 3 copies of a spell whenever you cast it. If you have them at different power levels, you can cast spells at different mana values to get copies on the same turn, or start moving counters around in clever ways. The ability to copy Jackal, which is quite hard to do, I think is the sort of secret sauce that makes this deck crazy. For the time being, let's focus on just things that make copies of legendary creatures, because they're not hard. They're hard to come by.
Yeah.
There are, as we mentioned, Sakashima. We've mentioned Spark Double. They're quite pricey because this effect is quite hard to get. However, Spider-Man also gave us Chameleon, Master of Disguise, who is currently dirt cheap.
Right.
And you may have Chameleon enter as a copy of a creature you control, except his name is Chameleon, Master of Disguise. This works. This means that Chameleon comes in as a copy of Jackal. He is a 2/3. So, because Chameleon is a legendary creature, if he's a 4 mana value. If Jackal's power is 4, when you do this, you will make 2 copies of Chameleon that can both be copies of Jackal.
So my question to that though is when it says they enter as a copy of enters as a copy of a creature you control, except his name is Chameleon, he copies everything to do with Jackal, which means he copies his mana value as well. So as it enters...
It becomes a 1/1 then.
Yeah, as it enters, does that mean that he becomes...
he becomes
when the
a 1/1.
card enters, does it go off of the Chameleon's mana value, or does it go off of what it enters as?
It's a copy, so he becomes a full copy of that card. So he comes in as a 1/1. The point is you'd have Jackal, power 4 at this point. Well, it gets the bomber card at power 5 at this point, and 2 Jackals that are power 1. So therefore, if you cast something of mana value 1, you'd get it and 2 copies of it, because those 2 Jackals would trigger.
Yeah, copy effect's still really good, and if you've got ways to move counters around, you can set all of them to be at different levels, or all of them to be at the same level, so that you can get multiple copies of multiple things that you play.
I mean, just consider the possibility of you get 3. You manage to you cast Chameleon as Jackal, and you get 2 Jackals. You move counters around with Forgotten Agent to make sure they're all the same power level, and then you cast Sin.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
That is 3. If you got all the mana values right, that's 3 things. You can move counters off other things to make sure they get huge. 3 differently sized huge flamplers just on the backsoul field. Oh, yes. That would be spicy. I've also picked another one because it's an X-cost spell. It's an X-cost creature spell.
Yeah.
It's X2 green blue, so it's not the easiest X-cost spell to cast, and it's a creature, so it will trigger Jackal. You may have this creature enter as a copy of any creature on the battlefield, except it enters with X additional +1/+1 counters on it. So you can use
Ego, yeah.
Altered Ego, that's right. Yeah. So you can effectively copy. You can cast it. You can't cast it as a copy of Jackal because it would remove Jackal. Because they're just copies. Yeah. But if you manage to make a token copy of Jackal in any other way, this then means you get another copy of it. Or you can use it to copy any other creature that's already on the board for you. This is X cost. You can probably do it with Jackal's ability, which means you'll only cast it, you'll make a copy of it. So then you're making copies of copies of copies of copies.
That's very cool. When you
that is where I would go.
my question is, if you cast Chameleon or Altered Ego, and Jackal makes a copy of that, does the copy come in as a copy of the creature they copied, or as a copy of the creature they are? So then you get to choose a different target.
You said copy too many times.
I did say copy the copy of the copy of the copy. That's my question to you. It's not something I actually know, so it'd be something that would be.
You may have Chameleon enter as a copy. No, as there's no trigger. It just does.
Yeah. So, but what I'm saying is, if you copied Chameleon, would the token copy come in as Jackal straight away, or would it come in as Chameleon and then you choose the thing?
As. It's wording on the card. When a card says as, it's not a triggered ability. It just exists. It pre-exists before it enters.
Yeah.
It enters as a copy. It doesn't enter and then become a copy. It enters as a copy.
No, but what I'm saying is the token copy, does it have to be Jackal because that's what the original Chameleon was? No. Or can you choose a different target, is what I mean?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Because anything that says it enters as a copy, it doesn't have a trigger on the stack that can be interacted with. It just enters as that.
Yeah, no, that's what I wasn't sure if the copies of a copy enter in as the card that they'd already copied, or if they enter as their original, enter as their original selves and then can choose a different target.
Because Jackal says whenever you cast a creature spell with mana value, blah, 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 whenever copy that spell. So Jackal would copy the Chameleon as it enters. So Chameleon enters and another copy of Chameleon enters, but they both enter as a copy of any creature.
Yeah, so you could choose to do another Jackal, or you could choose to do something else if you wanted to, depending on what the board state is.
And the copy that Jackal makes can be non-legendary, but the copy that Chameleon makes will have the name Chameleon. So, because Chameleon's never actually called, you may put in his copy of the creature, except his name is Chameleon. Right. So the copy of Chameleon that you make with Jackal that's non-legendary could still survive if it was also called Jackal.
Yeah. It's head, brain, explode.
That's good. Well, that's fun. That's the whole point, sure. Yeah. Actually, no. Hang on. Does that not work? Because Jackal, you cast Chameleon. Jackal sees this and makes a copy of Chameleon that can be non-legendary.
Yep.
So they're both still called Chameleon, but they have all of Jackal's abilities. and they don't destroy each other because Jackal says they can be non-legendary. So yes, all 3 can exist, and all 3 have Jackal's text box, but 2 are called Chameleon, and the legendary rule doesn't apply. There we go.
Yeah.
I love this game. This is what I live for, where you play a card and someone goes, well, now what happens? If I didn't have other decks that do really similar things, I'd be making this.
I mean, it definitely sounds right up your street. It's one that when we said about like picking the next commanders to do and all that, we were like, oh, let's talk about Jackal, because Jackal is an oddball in the Spider-Man set. I looked at it and I was like, I might struggle with this one. I might go for the more popular cards. And then as we've been recording the episode, I've kind of gone, oh, actually, this one, like Sin, I came up with while Chris was talking about the Galloping Lizard.
Yeah, same thing, basically. Yeah, same effect. Yeah. I have. Okay, we'll talk about them at some point. I have a deck that makes token copies of things as they are cast in these colours. I have a deck that specifically plays all the copy cards, but plays all the ones that mean they do get destroyed, because Roalesque has an enter and a leave trigger that if you make a copy, the copy enters, triggers, and then is destroyed, triggers. So I've already got so many decks that do this trick that it would be mad to have another one.
I'm getting to that point as well. I've very recently become to. I never really touched copy card effects before.
Yeah.
And recently I started playing Kumari, who is also in Simic colours and could probably probably also go in this deck, or put Jackal in his deck.
It's the X-Cost thing. I think if you didn't have a plethora of X-Cost cards, Jackal would be useless.
Yeah. But since I've been playing Kumari, who in and of himself is a copy card, he turns himself into copies of creatures on your opponent's side of the board.
Yep.
I wouldn't have experimented with copy cards, and then I've started putting them into my other decks that some of my other decks that have that are in those colours, and I've actually become to sort of really like it. It's so fun to your opponent's playing a card like Chris has got a Hope deck from Final Fantasy, and I was playing Kumari, and on my turn I just went, well, now I'm Hope as well, and now I'm going to mill you out, and it's just fun. In a
deck we played the other day, this is an example of why I keep doing this. Josh was playing Eggman, which is the Sonic villain who's a 3/6 with flying that draws more cards and lets you put things out for free. But he's a 3/6 with flying. It's a really difficult thing to do anything about. So I played a card that makes a copy of it, and then our 3/6s bounced off each other for ages because I didn't do anything. Like it's always fun. Playing copies is always fun. I've never not known it to be a fun thing to do in Magic. So yes, absolutely.
There's one thing that I would really like to do. One of my play groups, 4-player pod, one of those players plays a deck that has Toxrill in the deck. Toxrill is a really toxic snail card that states that during the end step you put a -1/-1 counter on all creatures on the board. Yep. I can't remember if he does anything else. The thing will pop up there.
Who cares?
Who cares? But what I really want to do is when I know I'm going to play against that deck, there's a very high chance that Toxrill's going to come out because that player plays tutors and all that sort of stuff. So what I want to do is play Kumari, and I have a lot of copy spells in there. I want to put Kumari on the board and copy Toxrill, because Kumari gets a +1/+1 counter every turn, so he's not going to die to Toxrill's effect. And then my other copy cards that I have, like Chameleon is in there. I have Chameleon here. I love Chameleon. I think he's really cool. You can't really see because of the shiny. Cool. But and then I've got other copy cards like Vizier of Many Faces and all that sort of stuff. Sakashima, the Imposter's in there and all that sort of stuff. Actually, no, Sakashima's not in there, but is one that I would put in there. And then I would just make copies of either Kumari or of Toxrill. And then I would just -1/-1 everything on the board. I just want to do that once because I think it'd be hilarious.
It's one of the secret sauce tricks that really, really works when you're playing against people who are playing really good decks.
Yeah.
Theft and copy effects are fantastic because they go, oh, I'm playing, I don't know, one of the big boogeymen of this, one an Eldrazi or something like that, and you go, cool, yoink. Or I'll have one too. And suddenly it means they go, oh, well, I hate when the effects apply to me too, and you go, yeah.
Yes. My thoughts on theft deck. We've mentioned this before in the comment sections on other videos and stuff. I've got a really strong opinion on theft cards, but they're only my opinions on it only apply to one-on-one games, which Chris and I play quite a lot. I don't like permanent theft cards in a one-on-one situation because there's no way for you to get them back unless you use your own removal on it. In a 4-player setting, if somebody takes your stuff, then that's fine. There's 2 other players that they could potentially target with that card. One thing that I do like, and Chris has done to me quite a few times, is what I like to call borrow cards. They're still theft cards, but they give them back at the end of the turn. I think it's funny. Yeah, I think it's funny. Chris goes, right, I'm going to borrow this card and hit you with it. You did it with me a couple of times in our Eggman game. You kept taking Eggman off of me to hit me with Eggman. And then,
I had your copy of Eggman too, yes.
Yeah, and it's like, I find that funny. I think that's hilarious. It's just, but if I'm going to permanently lose a card that stops me from playing the game in a one-on-one game, then I'm not. Yeah, at least in a 4-player pod, I can go, right, I now can't play the game. I'll make a deal with you. If you can at least get me back into the game, then I won't do anything to you. Can politic it.
I was playing in a game store about a year ago, and someone played a Shieldred, and the whole table went, "Oh God, we all lose all our creatures. It's awful." To which my response was, "I steal Shieldred," and the player who I'd nicked it from went, "Oh, it means I can't play the game." And the 2 players went, "Yeah," like, yeah, it's a rubbish card to play, mate. Like, yeah, it's a great way. Theft cards and threatened cards is what Josh was describing, and copy cards. They're just a really great thing to have in any old deck because they're a really great way to probably do something cool with your strategy. But also, if your opponent's playing silly buggers, just go, cool, thank you. Yeah, I'd love one.
I'll take one too, please.
Thank you. Oh, what a lovely gift I've been bestowed here.
I think that's everything, isn't it? This one's been a lot shorter than our other videos.
No, it's run on a bit.
Has it?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's probably about an hour or so. I don't know. I haven't got a clue.
Exactly. Anyway. Yeah.
It's your video. You do the outro.
Yeah. Thank you all for watching. This was what the heck does that card do? Talking about Jackal, Genius Geneticist, and frankly, how good Simic is. If you like,
it is very good.
If you like this card and would put other cards in it, tell us in the comments. If you disagree with what we say, tell us in the comments. If you want to tell us more about it, there's a Discord Josh can tell you about that. There'll be links.
It's all in the description below. Yeah.
There'll be deck lists. Not for this one. We don't own. Neither of us own this deck, so there's no deck list to look at. But I might make it. No, I've already got too many. I won't make it. But yes,
you could make the deck on Archidect. And then we could just post it for people to look at. You don't actually have to physically make the deck.
Then I'll just buy it. This is no, I'm not going
feeding the engine.
I'm not doing it. Anyway, yes, thank you for watching. And we will see you very soon. Bye-bye.